It's the Orange and Blue Report presented by the UVA Health System. I'm Dave Koehn, and I'm joined by the ball hawk, Ahmad Hawkins, as we dive into another scouting report. Virginia getting set to play host to the 15th ranked Miami Hurricanes coming up tomorrow night. It's the first primetime Saturday night game Virginia's played since 2014, now trying to pick up their first top 15 win going back to 2011. So what's the task in front of them? Well, it's a Miami team that obviously comes in 5 wins under its belt already. All sorts of preseason prognosticators said this team could potentially compete for a national title. They're still holding out hope for that, but boy, for Virginia, these are the kind of games you get up for. You think to yourself, can we play that spoiler role?
Definitely, man. This is a signature win, a potential signature win for Coach Bronco Mendenhall. And just to get the fans enthused, 7 o'clock game at night tomorrow. We need all the fans we can get to come to the game and for it to be loud and welcome these Hurricanes to a semi-cold condition here in Charlottesville.
It's going to be chilly, certainly by Miami standards, and certainly by our standards for that matter, for the last couple weeks or so. But let's dive into this. So take a look at what the kind of a challenge Virginia is going to be up against here. It all starts for this Miami team. It is the defense, and Manny Diaz, defensive coordinator, has got this thing rolling right now. Why are they so formidable?
You know, like Coach Manny Diaz always say, everybody eats, but it starts up front with the 2 chefs in the middle. Those 2 defensive tackles, they get out there. They don't allow a lot of time for the quarterback. As you can see, 2.4 seconds to throw the football. That means you got to diagnose the defense pre-snap and get the ball out of there, but you can be successful. But this defense line is formidable, and this is one of the few teams today that you would see that they will only send just 4 guys to rush the passer.
Yeah, that is a stout defensive line, and it's that ability to disrupt teams in that backfield that really has been able to force a lot of these turnovers, but it's not invincible, is it?
No, it's definitely not invincible. They play a lot of zero coverage on the back end, so they're going to challenge you to make plays in the passing games and for your receivers to make plays after the catch. And even in the Toledo game, if you go back to that game, also the Florida State game, guys can make plays on the outside and explosive plays in which they can score points.
Ahmad, now while the bread and butter might be to rush just 4 players on that defensive line, the reality is this Miami team isn't afraid to do some different things. And you can see last week this was the play that really shifted things when they blitzed a couple of defensive backs. Redwine jarring that ball free. Definitely,
and Miami showed them a different look, just 3 down linemen. But they still have 3 formidable pass rushers, and the offensive line just didn't realize that an extra guy was coming. So even though it showed 3 and maybe 4, a 5th one came late, and it was just miscommunication from that blocking by the right guard not to bump out and allow that tackle to pick up that extra guy, and for the back who did his job in cutting that one defender that did blitz. And the turnover chain is like a mystique. It's an aura. And once they create that turnover, all bets are off. That old school Michael Irvin swagger return. So if you keep that turnover chain out of there, or maybe I could do a key to leave and run over there and snatch the chain, maybe I won't do that.
Ahmad Hawkins is about to lose his sideline pass if that plays out coming up Saturday night. Now, if you're Virginia, you have to be thinking to yourself, how can we maybe turn the tables against this team, particularly with a redshirt freshman quarterback coming in the form of N'Kosi Perry, who has yet to play a true road game?
Yeah, and you know, Perry's very efficient. The kid's already thrown 11 touchdowns in limited action. He just became a starter a couple of games ago. He has 4 interceptions. But the thing they do that works out so well for him, they're very balanced. They have 2 very capable backs. They run a lot of screens for those backs. And then they have playmakers on the outside. Miami actually has a playmaker that wears number 4 like Alameda Zaccheaus for us. So this kid averages over 20 yards a catch. So they make it simple for him, and they're very balanced.
Yeah, and now one of the questions I have, if you were going against a young quarterback, we just saw Ryan Finley, one of the most experienced quarterbacks in college football. How much do you change your approach in terms of disguising things and potentially getting a little more exotic to try and confuse a young signal?
You know, that's a great question, David. And one thing, when you're disguising and you're trying to confuse your opponent, you can't confuse yourself. You got to stay within what you do very well. We have young guys playing on the inside with Zandir, starting in for Jordan Mack. So it's all about what he can contain and hold on his plate. But at the end of the day, we have to make sure that we can stop the run, because the more you disguise and try to protect yourself and confuse this quarterback, he's susceptible for the run, and we saw that versus NC State.
All right, just a couple things we'll be watching for. Again, a 7 o'clock kickoff under the lights at Scott Stadium tomorrow night. We hit the airwaves at 6 o'clock across the Virginia Sports Radio Network. He is the ball hawk, Ahmad Hawkins. I'm Dave Koehn. We'll see you at Scott Stadium tomorrow.